Well, welcome to a new video. And today, by still shots, you'll notice I'm in a really picturesque village. You're saying, well, hang on, Andy, what's all this to do with the caravan industry? Well, this village is no ordinary village. This village is Welton, and it's just on the outskirts of Hull. Now, for anybody who knows any caravan history, or should I say, have been reading the books, let's get that right, will know that there was a caravan called Welton. And this was where they were made, in Welton Village. Beautiful spot, lots of photographs taken over here by the river, with the church in the background, and I'll show you later the famous Green Dragon pub, because Welton, their logo was a green dragon, and it was taken from the Green Dragon pub. It makes you wonder now if they could get away with doing that in this day and age. Probably not. There'd be some trade description thing. But people like Besker and Swift use Welton Village as a place to come and take photographs of their next latest vehicles. I'm still outside of St Helens Church here at Welton. It's a beautiful little spot. Now, I came here first in 1984, and that was my first trade show I did at Hull. I did every trade show from there on till 2019, until it finished in COVID, and now it's going to go to Harrogate, which we'll be covering. But here we actually stopped to bed and breakfast, and we stopped in a house down here somewhere. Now, Welton Caravans were made on Parliament Street, and when I came in 84 there was still the old gates left, and it had Welton Caravans engraved in the gates, but they were building houses literally where the factory was, so consequently the factory disappeared in the history too. Now, Welton's also famous because of Dick Turpin, the famous highwayman. Now, he was arrested apparently in 1738 at the Green Dragon pub, and also it's reputed that his horse Black Bess, the horse's remains were actually buried in the grounds of Welton's factory. Now, Welton's factory was only a very small factory because it was originally part of a big estate, which was a workshop, which would be things like doing blacksmith and things like that. But anyway, when it all finished, Fred Robson, who worked for Willerby Caravans not far from here, decided to set up his own caravan company and started Welton Coachcraft in about 1958-59. Basically what happened was, he decided that he wanted hand-built caravans, and also they did hand-built special units too. So you could have a laboratory built, and they were exported all over the world. They made about 450 caravans a year, which was very little. I'd be like 8 vans a week. And my actual other connection with this is that my dad had a Welton Caravan. We bought it new in 1971. We had a Welton Rose Leader. Now, Weltons weren't as popular as Safaris and Castletons and Vikings and Sterlings, but they were still a good van. They had incredible good quality craftsmanship, cabinetry inside, and the woodwork I'd say it was even better than Carlite. But anyway, I'm going to take you on this little tour. I'm going to try and find the factory as well, and see what. See if I can pick it out. Right, I'll have another go because I don't know what's going wrong with the camera actually. Yeah, this is a place where lots of people, well, quite a few manufacturers used as a backdrop for brochures. Swift for one with the Challenger. Besker for one with the new Conisbury in 1975. And of course Welton used this as well for photography. And also Andromeda Caravans. A lot of people have heard of them. They were a little small manufacturer over in Lincolnshire, and they used this shot as well for display with their vans. You see, the thing is, around this area there's some really pretty villages, but because people think it whole way, they think there's nothing here, but there is. There's some really lovely places. It's off the tourist track, and I'm glad actually. This is a busy little village. Lots of little ducks and stuff, and people running and jogging and everything. I think a lot of people who sort of working will come and live out here and retire out here. Anyway, let's find Parliament Street where they made Welton Caravans. Gosh. I first came here in 1984, but it was a lot quieter then, believe me, it really was. But I'll see what we can do. So I'm just going to cross this little bridge here, and that is, as I say, one of the famous shots there that they used to use on this particular spot. As I say, these will pop up in the video on this bit. I think I'll do it on. But I'm trying to just show people how industry, the caravan industry, had so many, there were so many little locations like this that were used, especially by the whole manufacturers. Swift, ABI used a lot of areas like Cherry Burton and all that round here. It was prime. Right, let's go and find Parliament Street. Must be here somewhere, if I can remember rightly. Right, Parliament Street, I found it, and the factory was down here. Now, I came down here just before and I couldn't quite get my bearings. Came down with the wife and the granddaughter. You know what it's like, you can't concentrate, can you, when you've got them with you? You know, it's a bit of a hard one really. You're trying to be very courteous and say yes dear, no dear, and all this business. And when you're trying to find something, it's not easy, but you're distracted. Anyway, I'm going to walk along here, and I know we stopped in a bed and breakfast here, and the guy who had it was a builder, and the factory was just round the corner. And in fact, as a bit of trivia, he had a 1971 Thompson Glendale. This is the only thing that spoils Welton, is the amount of traffic coming through. It really must be on a bit of a rat run, because the 62 is just at the top here. Now, I'm just wondering if this was the place here where the factory was. I'm going to come back to it again in a second, because I'm just going to further walk around this corner just to make sure. Right. Now, my wife spotted a house before. She said, I'm sure that's a B&B place we stopped on. And I said, oh, it doesn't look familiar, I must admit. And I think it must have been, because it wasn't on Parliament Street as I thought. But we are on Parliament Street, and this is where Welton Caravans were made. I think I found it. There's been a small amount of houses built on here, built in the 80s, because these weren't here when I came in 84, I know it wasn't. And this definitely was, I'm sure, pretty sure, that this would have been the Welton factory. It would have stood here. I remember the gates being here, that I do remember, and buildings in disrepair. But this was the old workshops of Welton Hall, where they would repair carriages and that sort of thing. And the factory, as I say, was here, with a forecourt at the front. Again, I'll try and pick some pictures up. And if you look at Caravan in the 1970s, there's a picture of a Welton Caravan coming out of the factory. I'll go so far down, but it's reputed that Black Bess, which was apparently Dick Turpin's horse, its remains were buried in the grounds of the Welton factory, obviously before Welton Caravans were there. So this area of land would have been definitely the factory, and it would have been quite a big spot, because this land goes all the way around, because there'd be a bit of storage as well, wouldn't there? I bet there's nobody now in this village that even remembers Welton Caravans, and what a shame that is, because they really were a lovely van. And what happened to Welton? Well, Welton went into liquidation in about 1974, 75, and for a short time they did repairs here. and then they started building a few caravans, but again it's a bit sketchy, and I think they moved to Cottingham in the end. It was a little garden centre as well, I think, at one stage. But Welton name got bought by Cosalt Caravans, who did Abbey and Safari and that. And of course, they decided to redesign them, basically make them a bit like a Safari really, sort of a lower end Safari, and built the caravans at Nailsworth in Gloucestershire. And the Welton name lived on for a few more years. Welton were the pioneers of the three-piece design roof for clubman caravans, which was very, very popular in the late 70s and 80s. Luna used it, Avondale used it, Buccaneer used it. It was a real design. If Welton could have actually made money from that roof, they probably wouldn't have gone bust. But what happened with Welton they sort of 74, the downturn really crucified them, as they did a lot of manufacturers. And unfortunately they produced two new vans called the Spring Mist and the Spring Wind, and then the big lantern roof on the top, and they looked really top heavy and awful, and that was the demise of Welton as an independent company. But they used to build laboratories, things like that, and they were exported all over the world, I believe. So Welton Coachcraft, sadly, I never got here when you were being made. Right, well, that was just interesting. I just met a woman there. I'd asked her if she lived here. Yes, I do. She only lived here for 3 years, unfortunately. But she got the history of Welton Caravans. But she wasn't rude, and she did keep me amused, and said she found it quite interesting. Let's hope she did. So anyway, she said, I've learnt something. I'm going to look in the memorial hall here, because apparently they've got a history of Welton on here, but I bet they don't mention the caravans. Just been in the memorial hall, and there's a book there written about Welton, but there's no mention of Welton Caravans in there, which is rather a shame really. But the guys there, it's great to talk to, and hopefully they'll watch the channel actually when this goes out in the next few days, hopefully. I'm just returning to the car now and off to my hotel for one night. One of the very rare nights I get away these days. Just turn you around. Yeah, so there we have the Green Dragon. That is the pub that Welton Caravans got their logo from. A lot of people just didn't know anything about it. And it's a shame it's just sort of vanished into the realms of caravan history. But we've got a Bessica set out here, a Welton Caravan set out here, and the Green Dragon. It's a shame they haven't got the actual logo of the Green Dragon up. Oh, they used to have, I'm sure they did. But anyway, look, I hope you've liked the video and find these interesting, because it's just self-indulgency for me, to be honest with you. And anybody finds it interesting, that's great. The video's just stopped recording for some reason. Right, I'm here, as I say, at the the Green Dragon pub. Some foreigners come, I don't know whether they were German or what, but they're taking photographs of it over across the road there. But anyway, what I want to say is, yes, this is reputed to be the place where Dick Turpin was arrested in 1738, and it's all part of the Welton as a village history, but also Welton Caravans. As I said, they use the logo, and look, there we go. Dick Turpin was arrested in 1738, just in case we didn't know. As I say, Welton Caravans use this as the backdrop for some of their brochures and Bessica. I've already mentioned that, but anyway, what I want to say is thanks for watching the video. I hope you found it interesting, because as I say, walking around here and talking to people, a lot of people obviously haven't lived here for a long time. A lot of what I'd call newcomers in, and even some of the people that lived around here, they can't really remember Welton Caravans, and I think that's such a shame. You know, especially when they've gone into all the history. The guy was a guy, and he mentioned some sort of factory not far from here, and other things, and yet Welton Caravans just never got a mention. And he's a self-published book. The guy's died now, sadly, but he apparently knew all the history of Welton, but he never mentioned the caravan factory, which I found that quite odd. But hey, maybe he just thought it wasn't important. Anyway, what I'm going to say to you is, I'm going to go, is from the Green Dragon at Welton Village, just outside of Hull. I'm going to wrap this video up, and thank you for everybody for watching, subscribing, and please keep giving us your comments. And yeah, it's good to hear from you all. And you know, if you find these sort of videos interesting about a bit of the Caravan history, we'll do some more. Well, there's also going to be some more I'm on about. There's going to be some more of my Blackpool based ones, and probably some more if I'm in an area where, and I've got time, I'll go and see where a factory was. Sounds fair enough to me. So yeah, I shall love you and leave you, and see you on the next video. And yeah, please keep safe, and please keep watching, and don't forget the books. They're readily available, Amazon and directly from the publishers. Got to keep plugging them, sorry kids, but I've just got to do it. Yeah, lovely little village, Welton. Just a lot of traffic coming through these days.